Monday. Another Monday. Another Monday morning at 9:30. Another couple hours with me. Hello, everybody. Good morning. Good morning. How you doing, Drench? Good morning, Wombat. How are you? Making breakfast? That's good. I had a smoothie already. I have a smoothie every morning. I really struggled with what to eat for breakfast for years. Because eggs were too heavy for me. Oatmeal was too sugary. And then I just ordered a bunch of ingredients to make a protein shake or whatever. And I haven't looked back. It's not cheap, but it's really good for my belly. About to fire up an arena draft. Good. Are you playing Kamigawa? I think that's all that's available right now on Arena, right? Doing all right. Enjoying a donut and coffee for a light 3-hour drive. 3-hour drive? Where are you going? Yeah, Neon Dynasty is really good. I have not been playing it as much as I thought I would. Just because of fucking Elden Ring. Just consuming my life. But I really like Kamigawa. I think it's one of the more fun sets I've played in the last 2 years, probably. Cube! J-Bro. Good morning, bud. Good morning, how are you? Dude, CubeCon. CubeCon. I can't fucking wait, man. I haven't booked it yet, but whatever. It's still far enough away. But man, I'm stoked, dude. Underrated neon cube cards and why? Sure, let's pull it up. Most underrated Neon Dynasty cube cards and why? Pull up set. Wombat, my spring break just finished up. My girlfriend and I visited my brother in Nashville. Did a 7-hour drive back to Chicago yesterday. Okay. That makes sense. It's a long drive, though. Even 3 hours is a long drive for me. Good. Social treat for the CubeCon Buck. Very good. Alright. Underrated cube cards for Neon Dynasty. Let's just go through this real quick. I'll just talk about a couple. I guess I'll say what they are and maybe where they fit. Since we're going to be talking about Vintage Cube today, maybe I could point towards Vintage Cube also, but let me see. Otherworldly Light, probably. It's just a solid, really generic removal spell, but it's been really wildly performing well and constructed, and I think if you would just want a generic upgrade to a removal spell, very good. I think everyone knows Spirited Companion is decent. What's underrated, though? I mean, obviously, Wandering Emperor is not underrated, right? Touch the Spirit Realm, probably. So I know, people are really high on, they try to play, some number of Banishing Lights. This one is a slightly restrictive Banishing Light that also acts as a blink, which is really good against pacifism effects, really good to blink removal. It's really good as removal in the Flicker Wisp way. This card has a lot of flexibility to it. Highest ceiling, lowest floor cube card in Neon. Sure, I got that for you. It's either okay. It's one of two blue cards. It's either the Reality Chip or Tameshi. So maybe Reality Chip, or maybe to Reality Chip's a better example. Because like the floor is an 04 for 2 that just like, which isn't like terrible, but it's not exciting to anybody. I mean, maybe that's not the lowest floor ever because it's still a creature that blocks. But the ceiling on Reality Chip is completely insane, right? It's Future Sight. Tameshi, I think... Tameshi doesn't have a low floor either. Fuck. I need, like, a low floor card. Because, like, even Chip is an 04. Prototype is good, but it's not... I don't think it has a high enough... the high ceiling point that it does. So, I want to say Tameshi just because, like... It does completely bonkers things with, like, Urza Saga and, any land that does anything on ETB. Drench. Both those suckers at $3 and say it's bad. Yeah, Drench, why... So Prototype, I think, has the low floor, but I don't think it has the high ceiling. Yeah, like, Tameshi does, like, really, really messed up things when you can, like, bring back 0 or no mana cost artifacts or enchantments, of which Saga is one of them. So that's, like, a really powerful interaction that I think I would love to see in more cubes. Like, this kind of card... Oh, wait. God damn it, I'm so bad at this. I'm sorry, everybody. Here we go. I didn't have the spoiler up. That's a good point, Drench. I mean, it's like Springleaf Drum, but it's also a removal spell, right? Or it's a 1 mana do nothing. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty good. No, it's not Cop-Out Answer. I think if you're playing a card like Moonstare Prototype, you're playing artifacts. Like, environment dependent is part of, like, the thing. Is part of the question, I think. Right? Let's keep going here. Can find more stuff. It's like, Nashi is, like, whatever, because it's just still a creature that has, like, a combat damage trigger. Tatsunari is really good, but its floor is like totally reasonable. Invoke Calamity is a good shout, Wombat. Actually, that's a good one. Everybody know Invoke Calamity? So this is like the 2/4 for 1 blue. Oh, and the Ninja. We'll talk about the Ninja in a sec. That's a decent shout too, though. But people already tried that. I'm actually, J-Bro, I'm curious to hear if you had any, like, reps with that card, because I knew it was in the Vintage Cube. So Invoke is, like, the ceiling. It takes a lot of setup, right? Because its floor is, you can't, it's, like, uncastable, or just you cast it and it doesn't do anything. But the ceiling is you get to, like, flashback 2 cards out of your graveyard, which is pretty, and, like, the ceiling on that is, like, what's in your graveyard, right? You know, you could flashback like Ancestral Recall and, you know, Wrath of God or something. Or whatever. I'm just thinking of like 2 incredibly swingy cards. That's a good shout though, Invoke Calamity. It's definitely for a combo centric cube, but it does the thing. Like if your cube has Mizzix's Mastery, this is probably a card that you'll want to consider as well. Alright, we're still looking. Yeah, I know. It's good for sneak, and it's also just good, like, if you wanna make combat difficult for your opponent. It has some setup to it, but at the end of the day, it's still a 3 mana 2/4, right? It just has like a ridiculous ceiling, like an absolutely insane ceiling. The tension of high ceiling and low floor is a difficult one to answer. But yeah, I agree. It's Satoru Umezawa, right? That one has it's almost like another sneak attack. Spirit Sister's Call. Which one is that one? Let's see. Like even Grease Fang, right? Like it's still a 3-mana 4/3. Oh, this is the one that David McDarby helped design. It's good with Bitter Blossom and the 3/2 Shadow Buck or the 1/1 looter that flips. Yeah, it's true. Yeah, it's good when you have evasion. It's good when you can play a 2-drop and then play that and then be able to curve it into, sneaking in Emrakul or Blightsteel or just like something really big and dumb like Grave Titan or something. No, Grave Titan wouldn't work. Just something like big and crazy. Because you don't want to miss attack trigger. You want combat trigger stuff mostly, or just like big crash-ins like Gristlebrand or something. Beginning of your end step, choose a permanent in your graveyard and your second permanent shares a card. If you do, return it to the graveyard to the battlefield again. Yeah, that's tough, man, because the initial mana investment's really, really high. 5 mana enchantment, 2 color, doesn't... And, like, you need to set up the, You need to set it up. Yeah, Ishin is pretty dope. Ishin has a high ceiling. But again, not a low floor. But I agree. Super high ceiling. Kaito is just crazy. By the way, if anybody hasn't tried Kaito, this card is excellent in Cube. Especially if you're just trying to do anything powerful at all. It's not a ridiculous planeswalker, but it's basically a JM Day Tome. Tamiyo has a pretty good floor. Containment Construct, is that like a vote I could cast? 2 mana, 2/1. Whenever you discard a card, you may exile it from your graveyard. If you do, you may play it. Why doesn't Q be on the calendar for WotC on time like it used to be? How can that be fixed? Why doesn't Cube be on the calendar for WotC on time? Do you mean like, why don't we have a cube right now on Magic Online? I don't know, man. Gotta yell at somebody. Maybe we have to yell at David. I think he's involved in that, and like the scheduling and like production of that. You can at David McDarby and say like, what the fuck, dude? When's the next cube coming? All right. Final votes for me are the following. Spirit Sister's Call is probably a good one just because the floor is so low and the ceiling is like reanimate something crazy. Oh, announce ahead of time enough. I think, J-Bro, if I had to guess, it would be that it takes, like, they're kind of flying by the seat of their pants on this stuff. And, like, they're probably working on, like, a month-to-month basis. Yeah, Containment Construct, yeah. Like, they're probably trying really hard to, like, find Spotlight cubes, update cubes. Like, they can't just keep doing the vintage cube in perpetuity. Like, you can't have dessert every night for dinner, right? Like, we need eventually to play something else. And cube people are more, like, the community is more hungry for variety. So just, like, releasing a legacy or modern cube, like, it'd have to be a little different. I, for one, always want there to be some kind of chaos and some kind of cube on Magic Online. I think that'd be sweet. Okay, anyway, Containment Construct gets a vote. Spirit Sister's Call gets a vote. Umezawa Satoru gets a vote. Although I think it being a 3-mana 2/4 is honestly, like, kinda takes it off the list. That's a problem. They design things to not have low floors these days. Which is good, which is really good, especially for limited, but, like, it's harder. Okay, Invoke Calamity gets one as a vote. What else did we say? Tameshi gets my vote because Reality Chip. Tameshi Reality Chipper still have stats, so like it's a little harder for me to like include them. Moonsnare Prototype, I guess, gets a vote, but it doesn't have as high a ceiling as the other cards. Yeah, that's about it. That's the high floor, the high ceiling, low floor conversation. Real quick, thank you, J-Bro. Always appreciate your engagement and your willingness to, like, make me answer questions. Like, seriously. Okay. So what I want to talk about real quick is today's show. Main event is going to be having to do with the Magic Online Vintage Cube. So if J-Bro's going to stick around, I know you're a busy man. You're in the political sphere, so I'm sure it's Monday morning. You have shit to do. But we're going to talk about a little thing that happened last week on Twitter by Carmen Handy, where she put out a feedback question on Twitter. And, hey, how are you? Good morning. I can't know how to pronounce your name. Caxips06? I mean, J-Bro is the GOAT, yeah. For sure, dude. If that's what you're referring, yes. So, Carmen put out a feedback questionnaire. Not really a questionnaire. Hey, Magic the Simpsoning, good morning. And what they wanted to know was, what do we love, what do we hate about the new iteration of the cube? Because Carmen did a lot of changes to the cube. And some of the changes were incredibly well intentioned. Well, all of it was incredibly well intentioned. Some of it worked out extremely well. But they wanted to know, what do we love, what do we hate, what was close, what was perfectly executed, blah, 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 blah. 151 likes, bunch of retweets, bunch of answers. Some good people chimed in, like Caleb, Matt Grenier, who is a really excellent trophy leader. LSV answered. Abe Corrigan, dear friend of mine. We got some good stuff to talk about because a lot of people chimed in. A lot of people that are like invested in the Cube community or invested in the Magic Online Vintage Cube wanted to give their feedback, and I thought it'd be a good time to like go over this together. And what I actually did was, I cloned the Vintage Cube onto my own account, and I thought it might be fun if we took some of these suggestions and we cut some stuff and added some stuff and seeing what the cube would look like if we took it and was able to like stretch it out, move it around and stuff a little bit today. So I thought that'd be kind of cool to go over, and I thought it'd be engaging for everybody in the audience instead of me just like talking. Hey, LSU's answer is probably the most critical. No, I mean, maybe. I haven't like read a lot of it. I definitely commented on LSV's thing. But like LSV is a game designer, so he's going to be very critical. He's also LSV, and I've talked about this in past streams with y'all. LSV has like a really particular way that he likes to draft and likes to play Cube, especially the Vintage Cube. So his, a lot of people have like preferences when it comes to Cube. That's like part of what makes Cube so engaging for people. So some of his stuff is definitely taken. If you take it in the context of how he likes to play, it a lot of it doesn't seem so critical. It just seems like preference to what he likes. But anyway, enough on that. We'll talk a little bit more about that. But yeah, I thought we could do this together. I thought, okay, so I have the Vintage Cube up here as it currently is. Thank you to Gwen Decker for keeping it updated card for card. I hope this is big enough for everybody to see. If it isn't, let me know, and I'll change the setting here on the stream so that we can see it a little better. Okay, but I thought, yeah, so let's play around with this and see how we feel about these, what we could add to it, how we could change it. I'll first, and I guess I can open it up with my stuff, so I can just get that out of the way real quick. Because I did answer Carmen, and I wanted to just talk a little bit about my personal feelings, and I didn't actually get into it too much. I just wanted to give like a really soft kind of reaction. But if y'all want to hear a little bit more about it, I'm going to talk a little bit more about it today. So My feedback was the cube felt mid-rangey, like more mid-rangey than it had before, which which I personally love, and I think is a good thing. With less non-games that existed over the course of the time I played the cube, which basically means that like there were less games that were determined by broken starts or like spiky draws or just somebody not being able to interact or develop their game state. Like there was more like back and forth and more development and more games that like more novel interactions and games that happened. Lands were available if I needed them, which you know how I feel about lands if you follow me at all. I always want a lot of lands in my cubes because I want people to be able to play with good mana bases, because I think having good mana is vital to a lot of Magic, and I think like playing cube closer to a limited mana base is less fun for me, especially in the context of Vintage Cube when I'm trying to play with powerful cards. To me, powerful cards are powerful lands as well, and I want to have access to as many powerful lands as I can, because if we're playing with the best cards of all time, a lot of those are lands. Very few cards felt out of place. This is something that is a gradual thing that's happening in the cube, but like less cards feel like they don't belong. We no longer have like Limbal the Preserver or what cards like that in the cube. Like we have fewer of those that are present in the cube. I know that there's a tension that Carmen feels that there has to be a nod towards nostalgia in the Vintage Cube. I disagree with that, but I understand that why that would be a priority. And considering how marquee of an event the Vintage Cube is, having access to nostalgia brings in more players, which is valuable for the cube overall as like a product. Yes, and I said it's definitely a high point for the cube in recent years because I can't remember the last time that I enjoyed playing the cube as much. Probably in since before quarantine, I think. And then I offer a suggestion for an archetype, which, for what it's worth, Carmen did not ask for one, but I thought maybe I would. So I'd love to see an 8-cast archetype. And for those of you who don't follow Eternal Magic formats like Legacy, there is a mid-range blue-based artifact archetype called 8-cast that plays 8 Thought Casts. So Thought Cast and Thought Monitor, which both draw 2 cards and have affinity for artifacts. I often find that the artifact-centric archetypes in the Vintage Cube are very much focused on mana development and big payoffs, like Tinker or Upheaval, stuff like that, and are largely mono blue for reasons. They are ultimately mid-rangey with some mana ramp, right? The Upheaval stuff is a lot more big game centric, but a lot of it are just it's just a lot of blue interaction artifacts, things like that. And I would just love to see more cards like Sai, Master Thopterist, the Baubles, Urza's Bauble and Mishra's Bauble, cards like Oswald Fiddlebender, more cards like Relic of Progenitus, cards that are cheap artifacts that can be played with Emery, Urza, and Sai as the core legendary creature threat base of it, and lean harder into making blue artifacts a mid-range deck and less of a big mana deck. And I think that if you look at as I often like to do when I'm thinking about cube archetypes, is I look at constructed formats and I look at deck lists for ideas over what is possible or what is being played. So, for instance, this is an example of a Legacy Challenge deck list, just to give you some idea of what is being played in these decks. So Kappa Cannoneer is a recent addition, but Thought Monitor, Sai, Emery, Thoughtcast, obviously Chalice, not a card I'm really interested in. Lotus Petal, Mishra's Bauble, Mox Opal, Urza's Bauble, Spellbomb, Retrofitter, Shadow Spear. Obviously they have the fast mana in Ancient Tomb. They have Urza Saga. Seed of the Synod, something I think is a little too, like, parasitic to the deck, but you understand where I'm going with this, right? Like, I mean, look what's in the sideboard. Brazen Borrow, Crucible Worlds, Soul Guide Lantern, Pithing Needle, Force of Negation. These are all cards that could be in a cube for this archetype already. It just makes the like, obviously, like, the enablers, like 4 Petal, 4 Bauble, 4 Opal, 4 other Bauble, is tough to replicate. But there are other 1 cost artifacts that are relevant to Vintage Cube that you could see being played here. Okay. What is meant by nostalgia in this context? Like, cards that aren't good enough but invoke nostalgia, or cards that aren't fun but are part of the game? Yes, that is exactly what I mean. Cards that are like, they're like good enough, but like barely good enough, and like there are better versions of them that exist better, quote unquote, like in terms of like being more powerful or more just like in line with modern design philosophy. That we more see now. Like, you would be inclined to like, okay, what's a good example of this? X out of this. This music is really oh, that's why. There we go. I was like, what is up with this music, man? It's like getting really intense. Wait, where's my Streamlabs? There we go. You like Dirtle? But I don't see that as dirtling, though. I see 8 cast as like mid-rangey. It's just like, it's a value deck. Obviously, like, Chalice is a lock piece, but like a lot of those things are leaning into this like value-oriented blue deck, which I think would be a lot of fun as a way to like, as like a part of the metagame share in Vintage Cube. What do I mean by nostalgic cards? Let's keep on this for a second here. There's got to be some in here, guys. I promise you. Probably like Metalworker is a good one. Or Kadoltha Forge Master. The cards are like fine. I guess that's not quite a good example. I think it's more probably like Factor Fiction is like a good one. It's a good card because it's a draw spell, but we have Memory Deluge, we have Hieroglyphic Illumination, we have Behold the Multiverse. All these cards I like a lot more personally for their rate. Now, while Factor Fiction has synergy and stuff with the graveyard that's unique to that card, like, playing Factor Fiction is important to the cube's identity. Yeah, I gotta say, Carmen's been doing a really good job at not playing less nostalgia cards. Land Tax is a good one too. Eureka is actually not in the cube. Oh, Eureka is in the cube. Holy crap! I thought they cut this card. I didn't even see it ever in drafts. You know what? Eureka is actually better than you give it credit for. The issue with Eureka is that Magic Online Vintage Cubes are in leagues now. So, like, you can Eureka and your opponent will put an Eldrazi into play. Whereas, like, if you play with a pod, Eureka and Show and Tell, like, go up a lot in value to me. Because you're more likely to know where the cheat targets are. So, like, blindly casting Eureka can be a lot more dangerous, or Show and Tell. But these cards are totally fine as, like, cheat targets. Yeah, Carmen has done a really, really, really phenomenal job on this cube. Carmen is really passionate about cubes, so that helps a lot. Let's see. What else we got here that's, like... Like, Oath of Druids is another one. Is this card, like, good enough anymore? Probably not. There's probably better ways to cheat things into play. There's not a lot of Oath synergy that goes on. Yeah, sure, it like pops off. It still like has a high ceiling and does some powerful things. But the nostalgia of Oath of Druids and what it did for constructed Magic in the 90s, and the kind of like flashiness of what happens when you cast Oath, or like when Oath works, is something that like they still feel is important to the experience, even if it like rarely ever works. It's also something that is a little bit of a victim of leagues as well. And then there's cards like Spirit Heliod that I just don't understand, generally speaking, but that's okay. I'm not getting there. We're not being critical of that just yet. Looking for other examples. What you'll find from me too is I'm always going to be a little judgy against big mana stuff, because I'm not actually a huge fan of big mana stuff. Especially now that we cut the wildfires, we just have Jokel Hops now and Destructive Force. I don't know. Okay. So, getting back to this. That was my feedback. So let's go over some of the feedback. And what I want y'all to do as we go over this is I want to like talk a little bit about what, like, I want to hear your thoughts on like what people are saying, and like what could we do, how does this feedback actually apply to making the cube maybe a little bit better, or a little more the way that we all like to draft it. I know that's a difficult thing to like actually concretely define, but you know, we can play around with the cube and see how this could impact the cube if we were going to make cuts to it. So let's see. Let's take let's take the big one first. Luis Scott Vargas. I don't know if you've heard of him. I don't know if you've heard of him or not. Okay. So, yeah. So we're going to do down and up. So first of all, what did LSV not like? Jin Gitaxis, which is the new one. Nashi, new one. Braids, okay. Dockside, Destructive Force, Archon, of Valor's Reach. That's the green-white card. Right. Retrofitter Foundry, Academy Ruins, Bloodghast, Circle of Dreams Druid, Eater of Virtue, Fauna Shaman, Field of the Dead, Gush, Inkwell Leviathan, Lantax, Pack Rat Wheel, Misfortune. Most of these things, I gotta say, right off the bat, I totally agree with. And we'll go line by line, but let's look at the ups. Thumbs up. All new additions, minus the ones below, which are the ones here. The lands deck, like, just the idea of the land synergy mid-range deck that has the A+B combo with Thespian Stage and Dark Depths. Hops, Underworld Breach, Miss, yeah, Riftwing Cloudskate. He's like one of the biggest Riftwing Cloudskate supporters. Lingering Souls and Dryad. Dryad of the Elysian Groves. Okay. Why do you want Dryad but don't want Field of the Dead? Didn't you say you didn't want Field of the Dead? That's weird. Overall, this iteration was excellent and I enjoyed it a ton. Alright. So, let's start with the bads. Jin Gitaxis. Jin Gitaxis is that big blue new creature that I imagined it as a reanimator target. So it copies your instant sorceries and artifacts, and it counters the first artifact, instant, sorcery of your opponents. So ideally, you reanimate this, and then your opponent needs 2 Doomblades to kill it, and then you get to copy your Doomblades, your Preordains, Obviously only 1 a turn, but still, you get to copy something, which is powerful. Yeah. I think Hullbreaker Horror set a big standard for casting 7 drops. I'm not a person that wants that, but in a big mana deck, which there are a lot of enthusiasts of that, seeing this as top end, it's not great top end. I think it's more of a cheat target. What I don't like about Jin-Gitaxias is that it's a 5/5 vanilla creature otherwise. So without evasion, it really loses a lot of value because you can't reanimate it early, and your opponent can interact with it by just blocking and racing it. It also doesn't counter planeswalkers. It doesn't counter creatures that have ETB abilities. So it's a lot more fragile than it might seem. I'm fully on board with this. Nashi. I saw Nashi do some really cute shit, but like, one of my big issues with this is that, okay, where I think this is best is as a Blagro card. What I mean by Blagro is black aggro, for those of you who don't call it Blagro. So like as a 3-drop, this card is fine, but as a 4-mana ninjutsu, is way too expensive. So, and when people really like to draft like White Weenie and Red, this card loses so much value. If the cube was still slower, I could totally see this being good, but the juice isn't worth the squeeze often enough. And I think you can find a lot better 3s to play in this cube at this point. So I totally agree that Nashi's just a little clunky, a little slow, a little too vulnerable. Braids. I hate Braids. I think this card is bad, but like, I know Braids has some supporters. I just think like the Braids boards that you're like, no, it does this, are so like much like a Rube Goldberg machine that like sure, like you got there, but like the average case is this just a 4-mana 2/2 that makes them like sack a land like that, and then they just kill it or whatever, and like that sucks for you. But also when it's good, it like totally like it increases non-game stuff, where like it takes agency away from the player, and that sucks, especially because it happens slowly, because Braids can't kill quickly. So I don't like Braids, generally speaking, although I have to say it's my favorite art in all of Magic, so because it's so fucking creepy. Dockside Extortionist. This card is just bad in this environment, unless somehow your opponent is playing like a million artifacts, which you can't guarantee. And like, what, you're gonna bring it in out of the sideboard to play against somebody that's playing like 8 artifacts in their deck? Wow, so you played a 2-mana 2/1 that made a treasure, or maybe 2 treasures. Yeah, the card's bad. Don't play this card. Like, I get that this card is powerful in EDH, but that's because there's so much artifact mana in EDH. This card makes like 20 mana. Destructive Force. Yeah, just play Wildfire. This is just Destructive Force, but harder to cast. Archon of Valor's Reach. I have literally never seen this card in the battlefield in a winning position. This card is very confusing to me. It's obviously like huge and like can kill, and you can ramp it out in a green midrange or like green rampy deck. But again, like it does like what Iona and the Sarah, what's the white, is that card in here? It's not. What's the card from Modern Horizons 2, the big white reanimation target, the Mythic? Like, that card is so much better than this. And that card's monocolor. Sarah's Emissary. Right? This card is so much better. Because it protects you and the creature. And it and all of your creatures. So you can play this as like an Elish Norn kind of card that's also a reanimator target. That's so it has like a lot of play. It kills faster, and it's one color. So I totally get it. And when Archon works, well, when does Archon work? Does anybody have any good story like Archon stories for me? because whenever anybody plays it, I just kill it with another card type, or I just ignore it because it's just a 5-power flyer. Like, it's not like, you know, it's not defining the game when it comes down the way that Sarah's Emissary does. Sarah's Emissary is worth the investment, especially if you reanimate it. Anyway, let me know in the chat if you all have any Archon of Valor's Reach stories. I don't. Retrofitter Foundry. This I hard disagree with. And I actually even said this. Yeah. Love Retrofitter Foundry. Also. Yeah, I mean, obviously it'll get you magic Simpsoning. I don't even know what your actual name is, dude. I'm sorry. It's okay. I don't know why he doesn't like Retrofitter. Like, I don't know why he doesn't like it. Like, it does so much. It's good with Skull Clamp. It's good with Urza Saga. It's good in just a generic deck that needs a mana sink. It's good when you need to like sacrifice stuff. It's just like a value engine, and it has such a low cost. It's also good with like, you know, shit like Urza and stuff. Like, it makes mana, you know? I think that's cool. I think it does a lot in the cube. So I disagree with that. I love Retrofitter. Here, why don't we just start cutting these cards? Let's just do that. Jingataxis. Remove. We're going to do this today, y'all. Nashi. If anybody has any problems with what I'm voicing, please definitely let me know. Braids. Dockside. Destructive Force. Archon of Valor's Reach. Okay. Fair, I didn't like it before I played it, but it does so much good with Gaia's Cradle. Yeah. Definitely. And Academy, too. It's good with Academy and Gaia's Cradle. Alright, let's keep going. Academy Ruins. So Academy Ruins, so I think I know why he doesn't like Academy Ruins. So first of all, it's the combo with Mindslaver. The 13 mana fucking lock you out combo. But also, like, it does things like, yeah, it's good with Trinket Mage too, yep. Academy Ruins, like, I think what he's saying is, like, the floor is too low, and the, when it's good, it's just so repetitive and makes the game all about itself, and it's very hard to interact with. So it does things that are really annoying, as they like it like kind of the play pattern is just like kind of doing the same thing every single turn. I think some people might like that, but I kind of agree. Like, we have Emery as a way to do that, you know. We don't, and Emery's like a lot more you can interact with Emery. Whereas, like, Academy Ruins, there's like Wasteland and Strip Mine. I'm all for cutting Academy Ruins. Speak now if you disagree. Bloodghast. Bloodghast's not great. It's a Blaggro card, and it can't block. And it only has 2 power, and it's hard to cast. And there's not a lot of fetch lands, so it's really hard to get it back. And there's not a lot of synergy with it, with, like, Vengevine. There's no synergy with, like, bringing cards out of the graveyard. There's not enough support for like Blaggro for this to like actually work, and there's better choices at 2. However, like, the cube doesn't support Bloodghast, so I understand why you wouldn't like it. We can pick better. There are better 2-drops that we could pick, you know. So let's yeet this Bloodghast out too. Bloodghast and Skull Clamp is a thing. That is definitely a thing. Which begs my statement of, you know, saying something is good with a broken card doesn't really help anything besides just say how good the broken card is. Like, my argument when I was just saying of like, oh, like Retrofitter Foundry is good with Academy and Gaia's Cradle. Like, those cards are just ridiculous already. There are other good engines with that card, yeah. Retrofitter Foundry. Circle of Dreams Druid. I am not defending this card, and by it, you will never hear me say a good thing about this card in this cube. It is oppressively hard to cast. It is tiny and slow, and just play fucking Gaia's Cradle. You can. There's so many better creatures to play in that. Fuck off. Sorry, Circle of Dreams Druid lovers. Eater of Virtue. Yeah, I mean, just play like Heirloom Blade. I mean, Eater of Virtue, like, the problem with Eater is there's not enough like keywords on these on the aggro creatures. You know? These are a point of power for or to cost 1B. Yeah, agreed. Cradle creature, not good. No, not good. Yeah, Eater of Virtue, there's not enough keywords. And exiling things out of your graveyard is actually relevant in this cube. No, I am... Hi, Pure Gosu. We are looking at the feedback that Carmen was given for the MTGO Vintage Cube, and we're going to make some adjustments to it and see what it would look like if we made our own cuts on our own ads. So we're going to modify the Vintage Cube for our own sake. Just a little project I thought we'd do today for fun. So we're just going through this feedback and talking through it. Because there's a lot of things that are general sentiments that I think we can all agree on. Get out of here, Eater of Virtue. There's just not enough synergy with it. And by synergy, I mean not enough, keyword stuff. Fauna Shaman. I disagree. I think this card's nuts. I think discarding creatures into the graveyard to tutor up stuff. I think a 2-mana 2/2 that you can use as Survival of the Fittest is super powerful. And I think with recursive creatures, with cards like Uro and Kroxa, they just get... These cards get a lot better. So I think Fauna Shaman, it might not be doing enough broken stuff in the cube, but like, you have Recurring Nightmare, you have Living Death, you have Survival of the Fittest, you have creatures that interact, that touch the graveyard in meaningful ways. You can still play it to reanimate Gristlebrand. Like, there's lots of things you can do to make that, like Fauna Shaman does, at a very low cost. So I'm actually in favor of keeping Fauna Shaman in. Field of the Dead. Also completely disagree. I think this card is nuts, but I think it's fair. And I think, like, when you have all these lands, you want payoffs for going 5-color. And, like, Field allows you to play these, like, greedy Dirtle decks and have an actual win condition. Having a colorless land in your 4 to 5 color deck is a real cost, 1. And 2, like, who cares? There's combo present in the cube. Like, Field is slow, and unless you're, like, dedicated to, like, putting extra lands on the battlefield, it's gonna win the game eventually. I played it in a Sultai deck. I had it on stream, I think, last week. It was totally whatever. I won a game with it, and the rest of it I either didn't draw it or just wasn't relevant. And like, I like that it's low cost. I like that it has synergy with fetch lands, and I like that it is a reason to draft the lands, which I think is a good thing. Like, beyond just fixing, I think, like, wanting to, play Omnath and Niv Mizzet Reborn, and, like, wanting to do these, like, big game state things this is one of the best enablers, and is super powerful. It's been banned in multiple formats. The card is really good, so I'm keeping it. No, I think it's really good. I just think it's good, and it's like a mid-range and control pile win condition. I think it's good. We're keeping it. Gush, I think they can yeet the fuck out of here. So Wombat, you know, I think you were asking me about it yesterday, right? When you said, like, Gush is just a 5-mana divination, and I said, something to the effect of like, you need support. So obviously I'm referencing a Twitter post I made yesterday, a pack one pick one. So cards like Gush don't work here. And the reason is there's not enough support for it in the mana base. The reason why Gush is good in Vintage is because you get dual lands that have land types. And like cards like Mystic Sanctuary are obviously very powerful with it. The Gush, if you're playing cards like Blooming Marsh, or here, well, let's use blue cards. Spire Bluff Canal, Fiery Islet, Stormcarved Coast, you're going to have a much harder time using Gush for its mana ramp, 0 cost, broken mode. And it's often going to be a 5 mana divination, which is something that sucks. And it's not that Gush sucks, it's that you need good fixing, good support for it. So it's kind of a case study in like the singleton nature of the lands. The card pool does not support how I would want to play Gush. So we're cutting Gush. There's plenty of other card draw we can play. Inkwell Leviathan. Okay. Why? Is it because Inkwell has Island Walk? Like, it's a good Tinker target. It just ends the game. What's the problem with Inkwell? Weird to leave High Tide and Gush and cut Vidalcan Shackles. Yeah, it's an interesting point. I mean, Shackles and High Tide are, I guess you could say they're like on opposite ends of the same spectrum. I guess Gush is kind of the same thing too. But like, High Tide is like a very parasitic combo piece most of the time. And the decks that need High Tide need it so fucking badly that they're going to play it even when their mana can't support it, because even just letting 3 islands tap for 2 blue for a turn is like such an important piece of Storm, being even remotely playable. You know, it's not like they can play Bubbling Muck or whatever, or what's it called, Rain of Filth. So they need mana so badly that I can see that. Cutting Shackles is kind of weird though. There's not really enough islands for any of them to work consistently. Yeah. Well, that's why shameless plug, I play fucking 50 duels and 40 fetches and triomes, because I want to be able to play Gush and Vidalcan Shackles. I want to be able to play all the cards that care about land types, because I think like that design space is something that can be maximized by breaking singleton with your lands. And that's my own design philosophy for my cube. So Shackles is definitely punishment. I just think that like High Tide needs that card is needed so badly that they're gonna play it even if it's very suboptimal. So, but okay, let's go back to the point of Inkwell Leviathan. Why the fuck is Inkwell a cuttable? I'm gonna table Inkwell because I think this card is totally fine. There's not a lot of Tinker targets. That's my issue. Like, you don't always get Blightsteel, so you need another cheesy, like, bullshit win condition so that your investment into Tinker can win the game. Land tax. You can get that card the fuck out of here. I don't care that it has any element of nostalgia to it. Get it out. Pack Rat. Get it the fuck out of here. Get out of here. I'm not defending Pack Rat anymore. Wheel of Misfortune. We'll keep that one in for now. Alright. I'm going to use the bathroom real quick because it's been about an hour, and y'all know if you watch my stream that I need to use the bathroom pretty often, so I'll be right back. back from break and we have a special guest. Special guest for the stream. Say hi, Igor. Say hello, everybody. Say hello. Igor, I didn't know you knew how to wave. Hey, baby. You want to sit with Daddy? You want to sit? Igor! Yay! Igor, he's like a little like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Sit. Sit. Good boy. Good boy. Yeah. We're sending him back to training soon.
Wait. I'm not bringing something.
We're going to bring him some TREATS. He's not empty-headed. He has a lot of thoughts. He has a lot of thoughts. Igor, what is that? What is that? What is that? What's Mommy got? What's Mommy got? Oh boy, what is that? That's a big one. Yes, good boy, baby. Good boy, good boy.
Igor. Igor, speak. Speak.
Here, let me do it. Oh, here. Let's do a little speak. Okay, ready? Ready? Speak. 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 Don't get frustrated. Speak.
Speak.
Speak. Speak. Come on. Speak.
He doesn't want to do it right now.
Okay, you don't want to do it. We'll try to get him to give you a little woof on camera.
On camera.
All right, Igor, you want to go back with Mommy? Okay, go on. All right, there we go. Igor time. Thank you. Back to our regularly scheduled program. Okay. Where were we? All right. So let's go back to the main. All right, Sam Pardee. Liked the Landsdack, Underworld Breach, Gilded Drake. Gilded Drake, huh? All right. I guess it's an answer to Reanimator, which is cool. Fable the Mirror Breaker was unexpected hit. Disliked the Horizon Lands. Never really even use them in Lands decks. Wow. I could not disagree more. Portent. It's not a very smooth interface experience. I'd have more slightly fun with cycle weaker cantrip. Like what? I waffle a lot on Portent. It obviously isn't how we do things today, given the choice, but finding little ways to be evocative of Magic's history feels important to the Vintage Cube's identity. Not to refute your point, sort of think out loud on pressures of the slot. I love Portent. Love cards with fun names to Screech and Discord calls. Yeah, I like Portent too. I like Portent, so we're keeping Portent. Sorry, Sam Pardee. Bad Takeler. I mean, look, if nothing else, the interfacing of Portent is really awkward on Magic Online, so I get that. It's just I'd rather play a 2-mana cantrip than a 1-mana cantrip, which I think is just wrong. Sorry, I don't like to be so right and wrong about stuff, but like, you know, come on. Daniel Brody and I drafted this iteration of Vintage Cube a lot and loved it. We ended up with 25 trophies and experimented on new cards. We compiled our thoughts and main points that our depths is awesome and broken, aggro is cringe and lame. Same trophy decks illustrate what's possible with the new cards and how you should think about depths as a better colorless twin. look at some of his. Ah, yes, mono blue ramp. Typical. Splashing for balance and crop rotation and reclaimer to get Academy. Makes sense. Grixis cards that play depth stage. So you're just like a blue-black mid-range deck with a combo kill. Yeah, it's like Splinter Twin. 3-color mid-range deck with depths and field and stage. Love that. Yeah, I mean, all of this makes sense. I like Abe Corrigan. If y'all don't follow Abe Corrigan, he came out of Team Draft League here in New York City a long time ago, and has had a lot of success on the Star City Games circuit. He's Storybook Brawl. He's a very good player with a good mind, and he's still young, so he's still spicy. Good old Abe the Babe. Hello. Hello, Zach. Everyone say hello to Zenith. Zenith is like, I would at this point call him a dear friend of mine in the Magic community. Consider it should be in the queue. Consider should be here. It's not. I will be adding consider. Thank you. So Zach, this is Zach. His name is. Zach's a writer for Hipsters of the Coast. Zach, we are, well, okay, Wombat, I think we should have Port and Consider, personally. I don't think there is enough blue cantrips in the cube, personally. Zach, we are looking at all the feedback for the Magic Online Vintage Cube that Carmen received, and I made a clone of the Vintage Cube, and we're just going to cut all the poopy cards that people don't like, and we agree that aren't that great, and we're going to add more cards. Oh, you've been lurking. Okay, never mind. Sorry, I didn't say anything. GG's. All right, you know what we're going to do, though? Consider, so we don't forget. I can't believe Consider's not in here. No such thing as too many. I agree. What we did find, though, Drench, is that the higher the power level, the worse the 2-mana cantrips got. Because you can afford 1 mana on them, but you can't afford 2 mana, like Omen or whatever. It's like just a little too slow. Especially like as the power level goes up. Anyway, whatever. Jokal Hops. Yes. I like that. Chill MTG. First off, thank you so much. Felt that non-blue archetypes gain relative power, which is positive. This three-color stip showed the drafting multiple colors as viable and effective. Yeah. So J-Bro, actually, to my point that I made about the cube feeling more mid-rangey, J-Bro's stipulation of only drafting 3 colors was doable. Well, 1, because there was a lot of lands, so mana fixing was easier, and 2, the cube supported more mid-rangey stuff, and I want to ideally just lean into that more because I think that that's it's more fun. But I prefer fair Magic to unfair Magic, fundamentally, I guess. The Neo cards included in this update felt appropriate, not forced. In my opinion, worst performing card was Jinka Texas, cost too much. Inclusion of lower mana value black creatures enabled aggro and Mardu, yes. Free spells, yes. Modern Horizons draw lands, yeah, okay. Ritual Fitter Foundry and land archetypes buffer so smart, yep. Escape to the Wilds. People seriously don't respect how frequently it's just draw 4, draw 5. Yes, I agree. It's a very good big mana, big game kind of card. Is Tidings playable? Not anymore. It's probably not unplayable, but we can do so much better now. Matt has a lot of good stuff to say. I would love to get him on the stream at some point because I love Matt's approach to the cube, and I should probably find where he wrote about his experiences. Matt, I played about 150 drafts. He was also like second or third on the trophy leaderboard. He did extremely well. Played 150 drafts and saw Merit Legion play 3 times. I think I only lost 1 game to it. Like the idea of it being in the cube as well as other lands, but I think they're too easy to beat. That's fine, by the way. Karakas being in the cube also inherently means the Legion is not worth it. Yes. However, people don't take Karakas highly enough in the cube. I'll just come out and say that. Overall, I enjoyed the list a lot, but I didn't really feel a lot of significant changes from last season. I think the best deck centered in Mardu received meaningful improvements, while blue and green got more or less remained static. I mean, they got comparatively worse, yes. Well, Matt basically forces Mardu colors in all of his drafts and has an extremely high win rate with them because being proactive and disruptive is incredibly good in this cube. Also, the card advantage engines in red and white in particular are very, very good. And the disruption in black and white are extremely good. Basically, just like you can be proactive and disruptive at the same time in Mardu. And recent printings from the Horizon sets and etc. made Mardu colors very good. Like, you know, Chandra Torture Defiance is like a very high pick, I think, in this version of the cube. Yeah. Mardu plus Splash for Pest Infestation, yeah. Oh, Lelia's nuts. I was on Lelia day 1. Sick brags. No, humble brags. Yeah, Lelia's sick. Okay. So that means kind of like, I agree. I think that green and blue could use a little bit of a push. But I also think that blue and green are overdrafted, generally speaking. So his point is kind of like he's effectively reacting to the metagame as it sits. Okay, so good. Okay, so Caleb D. I'm sure we've all heard of Caleb. Caleb is like the hero, the OG. Streams Limited and Cube and Magic indefinitely. So what is Caleb like? Crop Rotation, yes. Esper Sentinel, yes. Lion Sash, yes. Gilded Drake, yes. Murktide Regent, yes. Voidwalker, yes. Son of Out, yes. Grief, yes. Bone Crusher, yes. Foundry, Fable, Red Elemental Blast, I'm not actually a fan of Red Elemental Blast. Utopia Sprawl, Pest Infestation, Fury, Gitrog Monster, Elvish Reclaimer. Yeah. I like all of that except I don't like Red Elemental Blast. Down. Worldly Tutor. Do I like Worldly? Worldly Tutor is green. How come I can't think of this card right now? How? How can I not think of this card right now? Oh yeah, this card. I know it from this art. Yeah, I mean, it's Vamp, but for creatures, which is good for cheat. But it's in green, which is typically not a cheat color. I mean, it's basically it's a like glass cannon tutor card. Oh, Spirit Sister's Call we can yeet that card. Right. What do we all feel about Worldly Tutor? Do you think the cube would benefit from more or less swords, cool equipment given its mid-range leaning? What are the swords that it has now? No, I think we're good. I think swords, Batterskull. Wait. Where's Cauldra? There's no Cauldra complete. I guess because it's not really that... It's not, like, really that castable. And there's only one Stoneforge Mystic. I guess you could tinker for it. Matt posted a pack one, pick one power ranking on Twitter. It's provocative, but also informative, yeah. Yeah, we'll look at his Twitter. Yeah, Cauldra with only one Stoneforge, I totally get. Well, so there's like Skull Clamp, Jite, 3 swords, and Battle Skull. I think that's totally fine. There's only one fucking Stoneforge anyway, and like there was a point at which there were more swords, and it was just too clunky. The only one I can really see is like protection from red-black, whatever that one's called. But the problem with that one is like it's funny because like +2/+2 is protection from red. So, like, it's kind of just, like, pro-black, pro-Doomblade. And, but the trigger is really good. Killing a Planeswalker and killing an artifact is extremely powerful. Heirloom Blade would be a good ad. Yep, Heirloom Blade. Let's just cut Worldly Tutor. I'm making an executive decision. Alright, Heirloom Blade. Nope. Did I spell it wrong? I did. Okay. That's another equipment. This is a reasonable one. This is like what Eater of Virtue, the idea of Eater of Virtue actually is. Yeah, Sinew and Steel. We can put that in the maybe pile. Yeah. Okay. Satoru Omizawa, didn't see it pop off. Did see it pop off once. So, J-Bro was in the chat earlier and mentioned that he was able to use Umezawa a couple times. I think it's like a mediocre cheat target. Doesn't really have a lot of like application outside of that as like a fair card. So I'm curious what y'all think of Eater or of Umezawa. Satoru Sato. I used to work with a guy named Satoru Umezawa. Luris, fuck off. I think Luris is amazing. Luris is so fucking cool. That's not leaving. Archon, yeah, that can get out. Voros Stronghold. It's kind of similar to like Academy Ruins. I played a MyCube and it's pretty powerful in a fair environment. Dockside, Jinkataxis, Restoration of Viganjo. Oh, that's in there? Wow. Yeah, this card does not belong in here. That's a powerful statement, Wombat. Missed. What cards did I miss? Lingering Souls. Yeah, I think Lingering Souls is just like... just great. So that's probably going to go back in there, y'all. Cauldra Complete. Ooh, he likes Cauldra. Glorybringer. That's not in there? How dare you? Lack of Corpse Stance kept me off Instant Reanimator a few times. Would like to see the Reality Chip. Villainous Wealth. More Neon Channel lands. Overall, one of the better vintage cubes to date, I think. Still, good job. Thank you, good job. Also, whether I agree with changes or not is less important to me than the fact that you're experimenting, which I'm a big fan of. Yes, wholly agree. I did miss Lightning Greaves a couple times. It's a good point. Greaves definitely had its place in this cube for a while. Satoru would be neat with Baron. Oh boy. I mean... Like, that's like a pretty narrow subset of cards to like have him play, just to have like a little bit of value. I think we can do something a little more powerful than that. But I appreciate the Baron suggestion. Baron is a powerful card. Unexpectedly absent. Yeah, I love. Oh, that card I miss wholeheartedly. Yeah. Here's the thing, though. Mana War effects are not that great. When everything has an ETB effect, or the Mana War is just a 2/2. At least Baron has a little bit of synergy with like ninjutsu or whatever. But I think at this point our Mana Wars need to be like Brazen Borrower. Or like Venser or whatever. Like they need to be bouncing multiple permanent types, and like Venser's body sucks, but at least it's flash, so it's kind of like a remand. Borrower gives you a decent clock in addition to it. You know? Also, like, there is a legitimate argument that bouncing something is tempo negative on a card, like on a mana. Like, it's card disadvantage. It's tempo positive, but it's card disadvantage to Mana War something. So unless you're, like, pushing something out of the way, just, like, or, like, what, like, bouncing your own Inferno Titan to cast it again? Like, we can do, like, a little better than that. I don't mean to, like, harp on the Mana War thing. I'm just kind of, like, talking it out. So he likes Culture Complete and Glory Bear. Oh, right. Cauldra. There it is. Glorybringer. I don't think we need Glorybringer anymore, but I do like Glorybringer. Alright, let's go back. I like the down ticket walker, save it from a swing line that Venser allows. Yeah, you can play it defensively. I agree. Dope interaction and the lands isn't even my speed. Thoracle and Escape to the Wilds are one of my favorite additions. What the fuck is Braid doing here? Let's Smokestack, please. Super into cutting Smokestack, but you keep Braid's name out of your mouth. This is a Bofa situation, Ryan. Wait, Smokestack is still in here? Okay. Ah! I don't get it. Sadly, we lost Magda and Yearling instead of less exciting red 2-drops. Though your incentives on red 2s may be different than mine, I have a lot to say on mono red if you want to hear it. Trinivore Strugglehops, not sure why these are in. We finally cut Wildfires. I thought the lands theme was a home run. It adds a nice new flavor to the cube, which I really appreciate as someone who plays a lot. Payoffs are good, but not over the line for the format's power level, and there are enough ways to interact with the 2020 that's interesting. I want to put a good word for Wheel of Misfortune. It's great design, awkwardly executed. It is unfortunate how hard it is to grok, but there are tons of interesting decisions about auctions, leading to a novel game where aggro players suddenly on defense with the full grip. Bloodcast and Skyclave Shade were cards you noted as experimental, and I thought whiffed. I very rarely wanted to put in my deck or was impressed facing them. Mayhem Devil plus Nanteku. Tuco Husk could be interesting sack payoffs for non-reanimated black. That's... Sack stuff is tough, though. Like, we have Bombardment now. Bombardment with, like, the recursive creatures. Once we can start getting into, like, Mayhem Devil, Judith kind of territory, we're kind of just, like, giving more to Mardu decks without, like we're kind of, like, leaning harder in that direction. And I think these decks don't need more support. Also, I think Skyclave Shade is better than Bloodghast. Yeah, Bombardment Retrofitter. See, we're always coming up with new ways to use Retrofitter Foundry. 11-inch cube and overall this iteration was better than usual. The new additions are much bigger presence than normal. I was hoping the MH2 cards don't get rotated out. Yeah, I agree. I also think we need the other two pitch elementals. Which ones don't we have? We don't have Endurance. We have Endurance. We have Fury. We have Grief. We just need all of them. We have Solitude. We need Subtlety. Subtlety fucks, guys. This card is really good. A Blood Artist. I like Subtlety. I think Subtlety is really good. It's a flash flyer. It bounces. It counters like Reanimator, or it doesn't counter Reanimator stuff. It counters like big creatures. It's like just like pushes tempo a little bit. It's like an Aether Gust, but for a couple of different card types. It's better when it's hardcast though. It's not like a pitch card. What is Volo? Blood Artist. Blood Artist. Really? Oh my god. Oh boy. Volo copies creatures. I see. Passion's too expensive, I think. 3 mana? That's tough. See, I was just thinking like a card like Yawgmoth would be good. Instead of Blood Artist. Like, let's lean more into like the sacrifice stuff. But with a card that like the card that can be a draw engine. So it makes like it gives you more makes cards like Crypt Breaker and even Bloodghast or Skyclave Shade or Scrounger. Maybe there's like another card we could play there for sacrifice stuff. Retrofitter Foundry, obviously, because that card's just great. Hangerback Walker, like, gives you like more fodder for that kind of stuff too. Yahenni? Undying Partisan? I don't know. Let's just keep going with the cuts first, guys. Sorry, I'm trying. I can't get ahead of myself. Magic the Simpsoning. Ooh, let's see what they have to say. 35 drafts, overwhelmingly positive. I thought the lands archetype was, and just the addition of more lands was super. Red-black sacrifice really close to a lot of overrock persist combo, which is something else I really enjoy. So you think like persist combo / red-black stuff? That's something that Ryan Sachs has a pretty vested interest in his cube. This card is bad. Honestly, this felt really good. Yeah, I agree with Dryad of the Elysian Groves. Let's earmark that too. Not Song of the Dryad. There we go. Good with High Tide, yeah. Braids for Yogg felt like an overall in for Yogg, felt like a miss to me. Would have enjoyed Yogg, yes. Personally love Monarch. Mechanic to exit stage left with like a Tarka back over escape. I gotta hand it to Mully. Oh, this is Mullybach. Okay. Yeah, I kind of want Yawgmoth in here. Oh boy, put on trial. Yeah, love the Rensax Cube. I think a lot of those things would translate well. Yes. Where did they put that in the lands deck without Dryad? Yeah, I agree. Dryad is such a challenge to figure out. Just never quite seems to fit when I draft. Well, it's good. Okay, so like, it's good in like the 5-color decks. It's a defensive card, and it lets you play additional lands, and you're playing like a lot of draw spells. It's good with like. People like to play it in Storm instead of Heartbeat because you can like High Tide a lot more easily. And sometimes people like to play green in Storm for a couple cards. Other than that, it's like a Courser of Krufix that's worse against aggro but better for big games, like just decks that want to go really big, however you want to define that, you know. You liked braids, huh? Smokestack, yeah. I'm yeeting that the fuck out of here. No, don't add Lutri. Lutri is free. I like Drew's opinion generally. Land stuff was great. Field of the Dead at the right power level. Mono Black a great addition. Could have done with more 1-drops. Would liked a bit more stuff for Blue Red Delver. I think it's very close to Murktide. Love cutting a lot of the clunkers. Horizon over Triumphs felt bad for control. Horizon's over Triumphs. Do we not have the Triumphs? What happened to the Triumphs? We cut them. There's no Triumphs. Heartbreaking. I gotta be careful because I might just add a million lands to this fucking cube. Alright. Please replace Banishing Light with O-Ring. Parallax Wave 3-card combo doesn't work with Banishing Light. That's really funny. Didn't enjoy it. Too many cards or archetypes that either didn't work or aren't fun. Yeah, that's not really true. I feel like I played enough variants of Vintage Cube to really give specific details on one of this, but just played a ton. I really liked the gameplay. Mid-range stuff was good. Some sips that came up that were funny. Putting a sword onto a Merit Lage. Okay. Yeah, well that's Vintage Cube. That's Leagues for you. Yeah, that's all fun. Just Loam Wasteland you out of the game. I tried to do that a couple times and I just got punished like hell for it. I disliked cards that too narrow and ability to have a little upside. Out. Bloodghast, Skyclave, Aganjo, Nashi, Force, Spirit Call, Stronghold. Should never have been cut. Cloudskate. Torrential Gearhulk. Leon Death's Majesty, Solemn, Season, Hollowblade, Nature's Claim, Leovold. Great Editions, Breach, Oracle, Grief, Snuff Out. I really liked him to see in Night Memories. No. God, Brian, fuck, dude, chill out. This is all like the fodder. Yeah, okay. Alright. So, step 1 done. Step 2. Step 1 is we got this. Let's cut. Now we're going to go through the cube ourselves. You can follow along, I guess. Here. If you'd like to jump on in. No! Well, that's the cube ID, y'all. AJPE. If somebody can link this, this would be great. So people can follow along. Now what we're going to do is we're going to cut cards that we think, like, just that we think we can cut. Which is going to be cards that I think we should get cut. And then I would love to hear from all of you what you think we should do. Yeah. General sentiment is... Could use another 1-drop. Intrepid Adversary we can probably cut. We can do better. All these other 2s are pretty good, though. I like Cathar Kameno and Relic Warder. Oh, it's, damn it. Hold on. It's that. Wait. Let's go back to the list. Adeline is good. Yeah, I like pretty much all these white cards so far. Yep. I still think Karma Guide sucks, but, you know. Hold on, I work stuff. Okay. I still don't think we need Baneslayer and Lyra. I think Bazriket just makes mono white better. And I don't think we need to make mono white better. How do you feel about that? Keep in mind, I'm not trying to overhaul this. I'm just trying to, like, let's cut cards first. But yeah, like one of the big criticisms of the cube right now is that white is like starting to become overdrafted because it's so people are realizing how powerful it is. And so like white, I mean maybe it could use another 1-drop, but like it has such a high fucking win rate, you know? I'm having a hard time, like, especially an aggro piece for white, that the cube needs it. I do, however, think that Knight Errant is just not great. We should just play Elspeth's Son's Nemesis. But I'm not gonna, like, I don't want to, like, spend time on that. All that stuff is good. Where's Prismatic Ending? We definitely got to get a Prismatic Ending in here, right? And okay, goodbye, Spirit Heliod. You make no sense to me. All of these 2s are good in blue. Blue 3s, all good. Blue 4s, I mean, I'm not a fan of Venser, Sower, or Glenelendra, but I know how important they are for people. Mole Drifter, Consecrated Sphinx. I like Murktide. I like Palancron. I like Hullbreaker Horror. I'm not a huge fan of Sphinx, personally. But I'm not gonna. I don't think it's like unplayable. I think people just like. I just think it's overvalued. And again, like I said, I'm not trying to like totally overhaul this thing. Like, what are just looking for like what are the cards that just like really suck? Like Fact or Fiction's, it doesn't suck. Like, just because I don't think opposition is cool doesn't mean, like, it's not important to the cube, you know? Crypt Breaker, Putrid Imp. Alright, where's Pack Rat? Oh, we already caught Pack Rat. Not crazy about like Bone Shredder. I don't know why this card is still in here. Bone Shredder and Nighthawk Scavenger. Bone Shredder, there's a lot of Bone Shredder advocates in the world though. I just don't think Scavenger is very good. Honestly. I think all these other cards are like fine. I think this card can just we can just throw it out. These are good. We gotta get a Sorin. My homie Sorin needs to come in here. Sorin the something. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, especially Scavenger. Like at least, like Bone Shredder is like, I mean, it's, we have Murderous Rider, you know, and Chupacabra and Shriekmaw. It's really not a lot of removal here, y'all. Where's my Drana? Rankle's kind of cool, isn't it? But like Rankle or Yawgmoth. I think Yawgmoth is more, you know, in the spirit of this. Drana's a little... If we had more Blaggro support, I would say Drana's cool. Congrats, Drench. Nice 7-2. Can we see a deck? I don't know if you can post. I don't know if you can post actually. Yeah. I'm really bad with like the commands. So yeah, Wombat. I think I love Drana, but like we don't like. If I was to support Blaggro, a lot would have to change here. And Drana's good when you have that, you know. I want like cards like Torok. But I like where your head's at, generally speaking. Okay, red. It's fair. I think Voltaic Visionary can eat shit. All these cards are good. Avalanche Riders. This is one of those nostalgia picks. I think this card is just so bad. But I feel like I can't cut it For the same reasons I can't cut Bone Shredder. Yeah, I mean, fuck the Avalanche Riders. Blood Tithe Harvester. So, like, I agree with you. But, like, how much time do we need to spend on, like, red 2-drops? Like, I agree, like, there's, like, much better red 2-drops. We're already cutting one. Cutting Voltaic Visionary. We can find another card for that. Let's say fuck off Riders. And let's fuck off... You know what? Let's fuck off all this shit. We can find better cards. You know what? Yeah, we can cut some of the chaffy stuff. I'm with you on that. However... Oh, Blood Tithe Harvester. I thought you meant, Bloodthirsty Adversary. Yeah, Blood Tithe Harvester can get the hell out of here. There's so many better red-black cards. Alright. I am cutting Reb. I think this card sucks. Like, Red Elemental Blast is like the gateway drug to like playing fucking Veil of Summer in your cube. Which is just, you know, you might as well just play Choke and Blood Moon. You know, blue is like, it's not that powerful anymore. It's not like it's that crazy anymore in this cube environment specifically. So it doesn't need like a dedicated hate slot. Also, I think we're all in agreement that Char is just really bad. Chain Lightning, Faithless Looting, Firebolt, Light Up a Stage, Wheel, Empty, Pass in Flames, Joko Hops. I don't think we need Vortex anymore, but it's one of those nostalgia things. Alright. Green. Arbor Elf, Birds, Mystic, 4, 5, 6. Missing a lot of elves, but yeah, Fire Covenant. That's one of the cards I was thinking of. Elvish Reclaimer, Hex Drinker, like these are all fine. Devoted Druid. So like we have Devoted Druid. Vizier of Remedies is just kind of sweet, right? It's kind of a low cost card to put into the cube. Like, if we're already halfway there. Fauna Shaman, yes. Ruffalos, yes, 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 yes. Wall of Roots is okay. I like Wall of Blossoms better, but I understand that this is a mana ramp thing. It's not yet, because it literally, I think it like just came out. But Swift Reconfiguration is a good shout. I don't know if it's on Magic Online, is it? That's like something you have to keep in mind too. Augur, Courser, Endurance, Eternal Witness, Nissa, Excavator, Sage. Yeah, all this stuff's good. Magus of the Order. This card is probably just bad. I'd rather play Court of Bounty. Is that what it's called? Yeah, this card. Oracle. I like this a little more now that there's the lands archetype. Before I just didn't like it at all. Plukranos. I don't know why this card's still in here. Questing Beast, Toski. Like, why is Plukranos still in this cube? Red Core is pretty sweet. Drench, is there a way you can find out if Swift Reconfiguration is on Magic Online? Acidic Slime, Hermit. I think Slime is a card that I think could go to, but Hermit, Gargaroth, Whisperwood, Thragtusk. These are all like just the big greens things. Oh, I mean that's fair, dude. That's fair. Garruk, Nissa. Yeah, that's fair. Also, crop rotation's great. Can we get a Once Upon a Time in here as well? You know? And what do y'all think about, like... Sylvan Scrying or Expedition Map? Are those two targeted for the lands combo? Is there just more ways to get Strip Mine in your hand and Tolarian Academy? Is that okay? You know, something to think about for a sec. I like that there's Cultivate but no Godama's Reach. It's just funny to me. Plow Under. I think this card sucks ass, but like it's one of those nostalgia cards. Pod is a card that I don't like either, but if you're playing Vizier and Devoted Druid, maybe it has a home. Oath, Survival, Heartbeat. Alright, multicolor. Geist, Teferi, Identity, Teferi, Yorion. So Toru is still a card I'm like kind of confused by. Maybe it needs more time in the cube. Alright, this card can get yeet the fuck out of here. Yeah! Croxa, Duretti, Kolaghan's Command, Olivia. Olivia I've heard is actually kind of sweet in the Reanimator decks. Still don't understand why Halana and Elena are in here. Vizier, good anti-Yawgmoth tech? Yeah, it sure is. Map also is tutorable with Urza Saga and is good in the Artifact 8 cast stuff I'll be putting in. Because, spoilers, I'll be putting that in. Halana and Elena. Talk to me, everybody. Is this like a card that y'all play in the cube? So I feel like the decks that I play Halana and Elena, like, just never really get there, generally speaking. So, like, I'm not really ever sure if this card is any good or not individually. Well, if J-Bro likes it, we gotta keep it in, right? As much as I don't like it. Dredge, boo. But sorry, Dredge, is it too many, like, flashbacks of playing, Crimson Vow? Gargle. Elder Gargle Snoth. Mirari's Wake is a card I don't like, but people really like it, so... And it's, like, kind of the holy trinity of Heartbeat Mana Flare. Damn, Tidal Sculler, Luris, Vindicate, Unburial Rites, Ashen Rider, all fine. Iteration, Electromancer, Dak Faden, and then like the combo cards. I still am like kind of on board with like, is it not being like a Delver deck? There's like the Storm support that's needed. Dak is just busted. Yeah, Eater of Virtue is gone. Don't worry, it's gone. If you follow the cube, I have made all the cuts already. I've made some cuts already. All of these are fine. Gitrog is a little weird, but people seem to like it in the lands deck, so. Yeah, I mean. Oh, right. You're on mobile. You're driving, right? Figure, Boros, Signet, Helix, Wear Tear, Nahiri Showdown. There's a removal spell I want here. Oh, Rip Apart. That's just better than Wear Tear. Get out of here. Escape Pelucranos. Why? Because it's better than Pelucranos? Suspicious Stowaway? Hey, people like this card. It was actually decent for me. Edric. Edric doesn't really need to be in here either. Can I just get like a growth spiral? You know? Like a nice growth spiral. You know? Save Ferris. Dude, oh yeah. General Ferris. We got this, y'all. Ferris is a banger, yeah. I cube it in my... And I have it in my cube, too. Noble Hierarch, yes. Sphinx, sure. Ignoble Hierarch. You know what? These are... This is confusing. Very, very confusing. Soulfire. Just because of Time Walk, I guess, and there's other shit you can do with it, but it's one of those pieces that seems to have stuck around. People like it still. Omnath, Golos, Niv-Mizzet, Progenitus. All this is fine. Colorless. The X cards. Revoker is good. Metalworker is slow as fuck, but maybe if we add more of those cheap little things in there, it'll be sweet. Lodestone Golem is good. Forge Master, I think, is awful. Like, actually, legitimately awful. Wormcoil, Battlesphere, those are fine. All this crap is fine. Karn, Ugin is reasonable. Black Lotus is okay, I guess. Chromox, Chalice, LED. Bloom, Petal, Crypt, Diamond. Yep. Smokestack can go. And then... Any lands that are weird? Probably not. I personally think Workshop is a trap, but I understand why it's in there. It's one of those cards. Okay. All right. More cards to cut. Boom. All right. Been another hour-ish, right? We're at 2-hour mark now. Time for me to use the bathroom. It's all that caffeine I drink before I talk to y'all. And now we're going to use the bathroom, and I'll be right back, so don't go anywhere. maybe an hour left. Okay. I'm back. Okay. We have a beverage for the mid-morning. All right. I'm going to put in 29 cards. Let's go through this stuff, shall we? I like Sarah's Emissary. More comfortable. Really like the consider thing. I had no idea that was not in here. Kind of wild. Anybody that knows Usman Jamil knows that we need to add Heirloom Blade. I like that over Sinew and Steel. I like Lingering Souls a lot. I love Unexpectedly Absent. Coldra. I think we need to give Coldra another shot. Warbringer, I totally agree with. Subtlety, yes. Vizier, Court of Bounty, Once Upon a Time, Yawgmoth, Thran Physician, I like Expedition Map, I like Growth Spiral and Rip Apart. And General Ferris. So what does that bring us to? Brings us to 529. Wow, we still have a lot to go here. Looks like we need some red cards. Oh. Quandrous Apprentice is good, yeah. What the hell is Tempered in Solitude? What do you want this for? What deck wants this card? Boy, you have a real problem with trying to make the good decks already gooder. You try to make them all better. You got a real fucking problem with that, man. You know what'd be good? More support for red and white. I mean, I agree. I think like white needs another 1-drop. You know? All right, let's add. Oh wait, we have to add the 8-cast stuff. LOL. I mean, look, y'all. All I'm trying to say is, no. That card sucks, dude. Really? Oh yeah, I want to put in Torok. I think red needs a little love right now. Yeah. What else? What else can I take here? Oh yeah, Dreadhorde Arcanist. Is this even in here? Oh wait, and there's no opt either? What is going on here, y'all? Whoops. Five mana, 6/6 trampler that puts randomator targets in the yard for free. I don't know, bro. I think it's too slow. Oh yeah, Robber of the Rich, Magmatic Channeler. I'm not a fan. I'm sorry. So I'm gonna have to draw the line at Doom Whisper. Like Reanimator, like you can put Rod, like you have Rotted Regisaur to put stuff in the graveyard. You have Una's Prowler, Putrid Imp. Those are all better, you know. Sorry, I just don't. I just don't see it. I do need more. I do like Magmatic Channeler. As a means to dig. Because, like, this is kind of like Birgi, the other side of Birgi, where you can, like, discard and exile and cast. You can, like, the decks are, you can dig for answers are there. And it rewards playing a lot of spells, so this card has, like, a little bit of a home. What else do we need to add here, y'all? What am I missing from... Also, if anybody's worried about the blue imbalance, everybody knows they want it. Like, it's okay to have more blue cards. We said we wanted to add Fire Covenant. Is that right? Yeah. I'm spacing out for a second. Obviously, because I stopped talking. We can go over first, y'all. Hey, Sour McCree. Welcome. Welcome, welcome. So, what I'm doing is referencing a conversation or a thread that was started by Carmen Handy, who designs the Magic Online cubes for us now. All right, peace, Wombat. And reading all the feedback for the latest iteration of the Magic Online Vintage Cube, and, you know, talking about it, talking about what we liked, what we didn't like, what other people did and didn't. And then we cloned the Vintage Cube, and we're just cutting all the cards that people generally agree to be bad, or that we think are just not really don't really have a place in the cube, and we're adding in cards that I think are worth testing or playing, or that we all in the chat think are like good for the archetypes that exist in the cube. That's what's shaking right now. So I cut, if you, Sour McCree, if you do follow Cube Cobra in any way, you can, here. This is the Cube Cobra thing, AJPE. No, I'm not, but but I like Magic the Gathering a lot, and I like to talk about it, and I stream about it every week. We mostly talk about only one format in Magic called Cube, where we get to build our own format for our friends and us to draft. So I'm pretty niche. I mostly do this as a talk show once a week. But am I smart about Magic? I don't know. Probably not. But I'm really interested in it, and I like to talk about it. So that's what I'll say to that. Miles, I heard the most handsome streamer in Magic was here. Where? Where? Is there a handsome Magic streamer in here? You're a little late today, Miles. What's up? Happy Monday. Allegedly, yeah. Miles, you want to offer some insight into your favorite game, Magic the Gathering? We were taking a lot of advice from people that gave feedback to Carmen about the Magic Online Vintage Cube. We gave our own, like, we read a lot of the feedback, agreed with some of it, disagreed with some of it, cut a lot of cards. I cloned the Vintage Cube, cut a lot of cards from it, and added some cards to it. And, yeah, just seeing if we can make it a little bit more fun to draft. Or, like, I think it's in a decent place now, so just thinking to make it a little better. Sure, so the Cube Cobra link is, or the ID is AJPE. I can't post links in Streamlabs OBS for whatever. The app. I can only do it on twitch.tv, which is kind of weird. Oh yeah, Reckless Impulse. The Red Knight's Whisper. I need some card ideas for Graveyard Recursion. What's the context, Sour McCree? An artifact removal. Is this for a cube? Is this for a deck of yours? Let me know. Ah. I'm not too good at commander advice. I have a commander deck, but I just have one. So I'm not the best person to ask. If you tell me, maybe I can think of a couple cards. If you tell me the commander. Oh yeah, you know what we have to add in here? Kaito Shizuki. Ooh, Bolus. Hey, Miles Rodriguez. Someone is asking about questions about Nicol Bolas the Ravager as a commander. I'm bringing that up, Sour McCree, because Miles Rod, who's in the chat, is a friend of mine and has a Nicol Bolas the Ravager commander deck. So I'm pretty sure he'd be able to give you some advice. And some good ones, because he plays it a lot. Miles, did you hear me? Miles. Good. Give us some thoughts on artifact removal and graveyard recursion for Bolus. What else do we need here? Oh yeah. So I have a better solution than Worldly Tutor. It also helps in the Niv Mizzet deck. I also want to put some Valky in here. And I think we need Dragon Lord Atarka back. And I'm going to go ahead and add one of my favorite big mana payoffs in Genesis Ultimatum. So Genesis Ultimatum is a little narrow, but it lets people, it gives people a payoff for being like big mana. It's very color restrictive, so it's kind of a bit, but it goes along with the where is it? Like Escape to the Wilds decks, like the Omnath Escape to the Wilds, Genesis Ultimatum. I mean, that's kind of a thing I want to see in here. That's right, we were getting rid of Vorat Stronghold. I forgot about that. And Academy Runes I got rid of already, right? Yeah. And then I'm going to add the Triumphs in again. Oh, not Ralgren Crystal. Ralgren Triumph. Ketria Triumph. Zagath Triumph. And Ketria, Ralgren... Ketria, Ralgren, Zagath... Savai Triumph. And... Savai, Zagath, Ralgren, Ketria. Who could tell me the fifth one without me looking it up? The other one is add the Abzan one. What's the Abzan Triumph? I don't remember. God damn it. Indatha. Okay. What do I think of Genesis Chamber as an 8-cast cube card? Also hilarious Urza combo. No, you're not off topic. This is what we're doing right now. Genesis Chamber. We're adding, so this is good. Whenever a non-token creature enters the battlefield, the Genesis Chamber is untapped. Why? Because it just puts a bunch of tokens into play? I think it's a little too narrow. Whenever a non-token creature enters the battlefield, if it's untapped. So whenever a non-token creature enters the battlefield, that creature's controller makes a 1/1. The fact that it's symmetrical is kind of annoying. I like where you're going with this though. I guess. I mean that's cute, but oh wait, that reminds me, Magda. Ranger Captain. That's another card I want to add in here. Yes. There's like another... What's the theme? This is the Magic Online Vintage Cube. We're making it better. Marginally better. We're adding... So what I did was I cut cards that I thought underperformed from the last iteration. And I'm adding in cards that had previously been in but were better performers. And then I'm bolstering a couple of decks and adding a couple of new cards or adding a little bit of a new archetype that I thought would be cool, which was like adding in Psy Master Thopterist and the Thoughtcast Thought Monitor cards, and then a couple more little cheap artifacts. I'm actually already 10 cards over, so I gotta cut. I gotta cut some shit. Probably it's gonna have to be some blue cards. I don't know. I guess now that we added, wait, why is not Serum? Serum Visions isn't in here? What happened? Where'd all the cantrips go? Where have all the cantrips gone? Cantrips are boring because they're good. Yes. Don't tell anybody. I'm removing Factor Fiction from the cube. Imagine wanting consistent decks as the mono red player. Consecrated Sphinx. Cut's gotta come from somewhere, y'all. And maybe let's add Dreadhorde Arcanist back in. Cut the boring cards. No, I don't. I just did a bunch of cuts from blue. Yeah. Is that a problem? Do you find that do you see that as a problem? Do you want your players to be slanted towards blue? Everyone is already slanted towards blue. I think that numbers being the same doesn't matter. I think having not like 10 more blue cards and green cards, it doesn't actually change the dynamics of the cube all that much. I don't actually think the numbers actually meaningfully change anything. They just allow the people that play blue to have access to more blue cards. And I think that's a good thing, and I think because people fight over blue, so having a little more blue is totally fine. Also, blue has a lot of good cards. I think like the numbers being equal is like a complete, as like being better is a complete fiction. Did that answer your question? I'm sorry. I'm not trying to be a dick. I'm just like, I'm not trying to like be hostile. I'm just saying like, I this is how I see things now. No, I would not say it's fact or fiction. I miss you, bro. Can we play soon? Can we play Commander soon? I'm still waiting for the rest of my cube to come, by the way. For anybody who hasn't been following, by the way, as a quick aside, I designed a cube that I'm building the rough draft of now to play test, and this is like the first little delivery of it that I got. The cube is going to be, it's a project to make a cube that is as portable and lacks extraneous game pieces. So that I could bring it to a bar or a picnic or just have it in my pocket for like side events and stuff. And it's a I call it right now it's just called the bar cube, but it's meant to be played without sleeves, without tokens, without dice, without counters, and there's a lot of design restriction that comes in with that. It's definitely very casual, and I want to make sure it's probably not going to play casually. So I have to tune it, but once we get all the cards together, we're gonna start testing it and see if I can actually successfully make a 180 card cube that I can just carry around and have fun with my friends, and to do like pickup games. In addition, more blue cards means more players are likely to fight over that color if it's a dynamic. But people already do fight over blue. Like adding 10 more cards that are blue, like mono blue, isn't gonna like meaningfully change that. It's just like people want to play. Not only do people want to play blue in this cube more, but like there are different ways to play blue that don't capitalize on each other's resources. So I like having a lot of blue grease, and by grease I mean like cards that like are played in multiple archetypes, so that more blue players can have access to more blue cards. I think equal card balance doesn't necessarily mean equal like good game, like equal balanced decks with equal amounts of cards and like equal amounts of archetypes that are available. I know we're going to play soon. Believe me. We're definitely going to play soon. I am not trying to alter the cube. I'm trying to lean into it. I'm trying to lean into the design philosophy of the cube, while by just bolstering some of the archetypes and adding something that I think would be cool and plays into the way that it's currently built, which is the like blue mid-range stuff. So I'm not trying to fundamentally change the cube. I'm just trying to tinker with it, cut what I think are like some underperformers or some undesirable cards and add in cards that are more suited to bolster archetypes. That said, I still need 7 cuts. Does that make... Okay, I'm glad. I'm trying to make sure it makes sense. Like, I don't want to sit here and just be like, Vintage Cube sucks, so I'm just going to cut all this stuff. Fuck Opposition, fuck Upheaval, fuck Recurring Nightmare, fuck, Ashiok Nightmare Weaver. I don't want to play against those cards. I want to play the cards I want to play with. It's like, yeah, well, that's really not the way the cube... That's like what makes the cube, the personality of the cube, so we got to keep that. Let's cut Satoru for Kaito. You better be. I know you're still here. The big exciting part of the stream is over. Now it's the boring part where you have to sit and actually do the work and like make the cuts. Nobody wants to be here for this shit. They want to be here for when I'm loud and screaming and talking about why cards are good or bad. The entertaining part's over. Now the work begins. When you say parasitic, do you mean like how many cards are necessary to red aggro as an archetype, or how many cards are unnecessarily parasitic? Like, I can say that Goblin Guide is parasitic but in a healthy way, and Sulfuric Vortex is parasitic in an unhealthy way. So I guess I'm just wondering how to frame your question. How many of the red cards rely on there being other red aggro cards have a decent deck? All the cards that are red aggro cards rely on the other red aggro cards. Like, it's like, how many... Like, that question to me... is similar to asking how many green elves rely on there being other green elves to make a green elf ramp deck. Or how many white creatures, or how many blue... you know what I'm saying? Because there's like... There's always... If your point you're driving home to is about archetype support as modal cards versus parasitic cards... there's always parasitic cards, but like parasitism isn't like a it doesn't have to like it doesn't only mean cards that have to rely on each other. It's cards that are like, or like parts that are parasitic are fundamental to archetypes. They're not just like, it's not like a bad word. Red aggro cards need burn spells, like aggressive creatures, 1-drops, in order to be a deck. It's all parasitic to red aggro. So there's like a bunch of things that are fundamental to red aggro being a successful archetype or a draftable archetype with a game plan. No, because the only way you jump into a trap by first picking Goblin Guide is if red aggro it doesn't exist. If I just put a Goblin Guide into a cube where there is no red aggro. However, there are red aggro cards in the cube. So it's only a trap if I don't support it. It's also a trap if other people are fighting you for it, if you're forcing. But that's a separate issue. You know, like first picking Mishra's Workshop is more of a trap. Because there's not a lot of support for Mishra's Workshop in the cube. However, it's one of those cards that I'm still keeping in for now because it's one of those cards that people feel makes the Vintage Cube the Vintage Cube. Even though I don't like it. And I would cut it. Don't be a coward? Fine. Then I'm cutting Inkwell. Cutting Workshop. I'm not a coward. Sometimes I just need a little bit of a push. Alright, I need 4 more cuts. Oh, I was told that Urza's Bauble was not on Magic Online. Oh, Seagram's Rumcar was incredible, dude. Have you not played with this card very much in Cube? This card is very, very good. I had Oops All Time Walks my last draft. And yeah, I mean, there were times where I would just have a Seagate in my hand, and you just like, you know, you wait until you get a card, even just like Brainstorm on turn 3, or like it makes you sequence your opening hands differently if it's in your opening hand, and it's obviously not the best off the top. But as you're developing, or you know, in my deck specific case, in combination with like Eternal Witness for Time Walk or whatever, you can just like cast Seagate, cast Time Walk, cast Seagate, cast Brainstorm, cast Seagate, cast Lightning Bolt, cast Seagate, cast Manamorphose. Like the card's awesome. It just requires you to maximize it a little bit, but the floor of it being just a 2-mana 2/1 when you just really need a creature on curve is there and is fine. Which cards are most included to make a cube feel make vintage cube feel or make vintage cube? Cards that are legal in vintage, or cards that are played in constructed vintage is the first one. That's the first place I go. Which is why I feel like the name Vintage Cube is misleading as a branding tool. Because the metagame does not represent constructed vintage, and the card choices don't either. Because it's more of like a vintage as in best cards or best archetypes ever or something like that. If I was to make a vintage cube, how many cards are locked in? It depends upon what my goals are. Like, if I want the cube to feel like vintage, it's going to be like most of the cards are probably already locked in, because first of all, it's only 4 colors, really, 4.5 colors, because green doesn't exist. And second of all, like, there's no aggro, because like red aggro doesn't exist in vintage. It's just red storm support, and maybe like some Delver stuff, like Xerox cards. But then like pretty much everything is just blue and black, and then like white is just like tax cards, and Trinispheres and shit, and then everything else is just combo. So like it would just be like a combo cube plus combo disruption. That's why I was asking about the red cards. Yeah. Well, like, yeah, and that's, it goes back to my point about red in vintage, about the calling it vintage cube is misleading, because it's really just like a good stuff cube that has power in it. And there's like a bad storm deck in it, but other than that, it's just like cards. Because it's iconic. Because vintage cube more means like iconic than anything else. But like, I think the definition of vintage cube is even changing over time too. I don't know why Grave Titan is still in here. I don't know why any of the Titans are, except for maybe Inferno Titan and Primeval Titan, are still in here. The only Titan that I think makes sense anymore is Prime Time. Shit, maybe I'm supposed to cut Sun Titan. And Grave Titan. But the thing is, people like those cards. Oh, that's nice. Thanks. Go to horny jail, dude. So I have to tell you this every time. Look at that. You're scaring everybody else away. Everyone left because of you. Is Wheel of Fortune interesting enough to keep, or is it just bad? Like, I feel like Reckless Impulse just does a better job. Cut it. Get it out of here. 2 more cuts. It is a wall of text. Yep. It is a real card. You haven't cast this card lately, have you? It's like, it's basically feels like Toxic Deluge for like a couple more life. I mean, the answer could be I just play Angrat's Rampage. I need one cut. Halana and Elena, get out of here. That's it. This is my vintage. This is my version of the Magic Online Vintage Cube. I'm going to post it. I did it. Wait, where's Carmen? I'm actually going to retweet them. Hey Igor, you want to come here and say hi? Fuck off.
Come here, you little sneaker. Here he comes.
Okay. Come here and say hi to everybody. Igor, yay! Hi, baby. What you doing?
Let me drink my ass.
Yeah?
Just had my food.
Yeah, you just had your food? Is it almost time to go outside? Put your little paw on me. Hi. Puppy. What's that? What is that? Is that monkey? Can I get a kiss for everybody?
No.
Okay.
No.
All right. Oh, I love making cuts. All right. So here's the deal. Miles, are you still there? You're still here. I'm gonna get the rest of this cube probably this week, but even then, I'd still like to get together and play some Commander with you guys. So let's text the thread and let's try to figure that out. I would big love that. All right. I think I'm going to call it here. Yeah. It's been almost 3 hours anyway. All right, y'all. Thanks for hanging out. I appreciate everybody's input, your communication, your thoughts. They're all very, very much appreciated. Thanks, bud. You too. You too, man. If you're tuning in and you haven't normally tuned in before to my stream, I stream once a week, and this is a cube focused stream. So we just try to talk about Magic the Gathering's greatest format ever. And yeah, I mean, give me a follow if you're interested and you want to see more content like this. I also post on Twitter pretty much every day, so I try to keep my voice involved in the conversation. Anyway, hope you have a great rest of your Monday, and see you next time.